Let's read another scary story that was sent to us. A few years ago when I was in middle school, I was about 12 or 13, my older brother and I would walk home from school back to my grandparents' house that isn't far from there. We would stay there for a couple of hours until our dad picked us up because our house was much further away. This one day that we got back to our grandparents' house, nobody was home. When we got in, my brother went into the living room and laid on the couch, and I went and sat at the kitchen bench with my laptop. When we walked in, I watched my brother jump on the couch and take a nap with a blanket on him, so it would not have been him who I had seen later. Anyway, I was playing around on Photo Booth on my laptop when I saw something or someone behind me. About 5 to 6 meters away, standing right at the bottom of the staircase to my back, there was a silhouette of a person on the screen. I took the filter that was on my computer off, thinking that that's what made it look like a person was there, but it remained. I don't know why I didn't turn back. I just kept staring at the screen, so I took a picture with no filter. When I looked at the photo of this thing in the dark corner of the room at the bottom of the staircase, I decided to turn back and, you guessed it, nothing was there. I was so confused in the moment, not scared at all though, oddly, but I was sure that I saw what I saw. I thought that my brother was messing with me, so I went to go ask him if that was him standing in the picture. But he was asleep when I asked him, and he woke up so confused, wondering why I'd asked that. He messed with me all the time, but on this one occasion he truly seemed genuine, and he was in the same spot I'd seen him in when he went to the couch. Later that afternoon, my cousin in her early 20s who was living there at the time came home. I showed her the picture and it was blurry because of how dark this part of the house was, but it was clear that someone was standing there. I've always been into spooky stuff and spirits, so I asked her on that topic, and she's all into that too. And she said that her mom, and her sister have seen and heard some really odd things, saying they always saw something at the corner of their eye and a shadow standing at the bottom of the staircase, possibly a woman, and thumping coming from upstairs when nobody is there, like loud thumping. The house isn't super old, built in the 60s or 70s, but there's an attic that holds all of my nan and pop's old belongings, old dolls and heirlooms. And some of these things are really, really old, going back to mid-1800s. I don't know who or what it was, but I've never seen anything since then. Though when my cousin just a couple years ago had a kid, on the baby cam still living at the house, she saw some unexplainable things such as the blanket on the bed being rolled over her kid while he was sleeping and tugging of the blanket out of nowhere. That house is definitely haunted, and I can't help but wonder if maybe some of those like heirlooms are haunted. I don't know. But they think that maybe the spirit is a woman and they saw something or someone covering the baby up with the blanket. Maybe she's not a bad spirit. I don't know. What do y'all think?
The stories that I'm about to read you were left in my Duende 956 video. I lived on a country road, no houses around at the time. A lechuza would follow me to work and back. 3 nights in a row, it would fly and hit my son's window. My son went out and shot at it. He saw it go down, but when he went to look, it wasn't there. What did he find? His rosary that he carried with him. Never saw the lechuza again. This is from Falfurrias, Texas. Is that like 40 minutes from the valley? Yes, I think. It's like one of those little towns you hit when you're leaving the valley. I used to go through there at 3 or 4 in the morning. What the fuck? No. I'm from Brownsville, Texas. When I was around 8 or 9 years old, we lived in an old house called Andres Pacheco. I used to love to play with my dolls, and my mom told me to put them away. It's time for bed. And I told her, no, I will play tomorrow morning with them, and left them in the living room. I used to get up at night to go to the restroom, and I would have to pass through the living room to go to the restroom. I would always wake up my mom because I was always scared of waking up in the middle of the night. Well, that night, my mom and I saw them playing with my toys. My mom and I were so scared we went back to the bedroom, and the next morning the babies were put away. After that, I stopped playing with any toys. Gee, I wonder what would make you stop playing with the fucking toys. I'm from Harlingen, Texas. I'm from Harlingen, and when my daughter was just a newborn, she is now 23, I remember waking up looking over to her crib and there was a duende, a girl, who would look like a little girl from afar but up close like an old lady. She would always stand over the crib and look at me and smile. Nah! Oh my god, I made sure my daughter slept with me from then on, and she would literally stand right by my bedside and I could swear she would growl. I know very well she is still around. Oh my god. But this is just one of my many encounters. We need to hear other encounters, please. Not in the valley, but Houston. It was myself and my 3 cousins who were playing outside in the dark, and we'd seen something looking at us. It was small and dressed exactly like a leprechaun, and we chased it. Shake my head, we were kids, and my mom in a frenzy yelled at us so loud to come back fast. Literally would change shape every time. Oh my god, don't say that, because that's exactly what happened to me when I saw my only duende ever in life and never want to see it. Oh my god, I have chills. Wait, okay, what? It would literally change shape every time it would come, and it was always at night, but for some reason it wouldn't come inside the house. We would hear it tapping on the windows. My mom wasn't a witch, but her tias were, and they had told her that yes, duendes are real and never follow them. Her face turned white when we told her what we saw. After that, we were never allowed outside at night ever again. Dude, when I saw a duende, and you don't have to believe me, but we were driving, it was like 3 in the morning. I had left the house without telling my mom, and it was like a curvy little road. I swear on anything, I saw like this little person, and I gasped, and then when we like got right in front of it, it had almost like shifted into a dog. You don't have to believe me, but like, yeah, that shit has stayed in my head for a very, very long time. I was a teenager when that happened. So when you said like it changed shape, I'm like, fuck, I have chills. Yes, that is like, yes, this one fucked me up a little bit. In a ranchito on Highway 281 by the river, I'd seen duendes several times, and then someone commented, I live near 281 in Ranchito, now I'm scared. He responded and said, I'd seen one at the cemetery next to the corner market. I was just there because my grandfather is buried there. He said, I'd seen one at the cemetery next to the corner market. I stay in the ranchito, but honestly, it wasn't scary. I didn't try contact with it, but I'd seen it and it was minding his business and I was minding mine. Not my grandfather at a cemetery where there has been duende sightings. What the hell? And I'm supposed to go back in 2 weeks to decorate for Christmas. Oh my god, I just remembered something. Okay, so my friend growing up, she lived in the street right next to the corner market, and I remember, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, I think she was in the middle of the night walking through that street where the cemetery is, which is just one after hers, and she said, I don't know if it was her or somebody else, but that they saw a lady in white coming from that cemetery like at that time of night, and they booked it all the way home. Please don't tell me La Llorona and the duendes are up in that bitch, because what the fuck? Anyways, Scotty, if you remember the story, can you leave it in the comments for everybody to read, because that's all I remember. And that, I mean, I feel like that was like such a long time ago. I swear there are duendes in the law office I worked in Edinburgh, Texas. It's on University Drive by the courthouse. My files and several other things would go missing, and we would find them later in different places. So weird, but they were nice, and I guess nothing evil. Sounds like you should have put their ass to work, because what do you mean they're making your job harder? I'd seen some when I was little and laying between my grandparents. They were sleeping, and I woke up in the middle of the night and seen them coming down towards me from the curtains above us, and I swear they sprinkled the glitter-like stuff on me, and I remember getting so damn itchy, and my grandparents woke up and asked what I was doing because I sat up, and I kept saying, the little people woke me up. And they said I was dreaming, but I wasn't. That would be the last time you stayed the night with me if I was your grandma, because what the fuck, the little people woke you up. I'd be so scared. I'd be like, yeah, you're dreaming. That's not real. No, but that's so fucking scary, actually. I live in the outskirts of San Benito, and I swear I've seen a duende running from a neighbor's lawn into the monte across the street. Where in the outskirts, because that's exactly where I saw it. If you tell me, fuck, I think the street, I'm just gonna say it, because like, who the hell is from here anyways? But when I saw the duende, it was on Espinosa Street, out like by La Paloma. If you fucking tell me that is where you saw it too, I think I might pass out. Yeah, I'm gonna pass out. In conclusion, don't leave your house in the middle of the night without asking your parents, because you will see a duende. Anyway, let me know if you want to hear more.
A really scary experience happened to me this morning, and I need to tell someone about it. So during the week, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for work. It's like the first job of the day. So when I get up, my boyfriend is obviously still passed out sleeping like any normal person. and my house is pitch black, like dark, because we sleep with all the lights off, TV off, white noise on. Like, on this morning, I always wake up, and obviously the first like 5 minutes I'm awake, I'm so out of it and tired because it's 4 a.m. And I try to keep all the lights off so that I don't wake him up. Now, this morning, lights are still off, and I went into the bathroom, like in our bedroom, because I keep like my stuff to get ready in there and to get into the living room again so I don't wake him up because I feel bad. And so I'm fiddling like in the dark, right? And only the dim light from my phone is on. And it's dim, like my brightness is basically all the way down. And I see the light turn on in the kitchen. Like from our room, you can see like if any light in the house turns on, to be honest, because it's pitch black. So I'd see the light turn on to the kitchen or like the living room. I'm like, that's weird. I was like, good morning, babe. Like, don't know why you're up. And I'm still looking down, like pulling my stuff, right? Trying to get it together, feel for things. And it's quiet. And I'm like, good morning. And I hear like almost a gurgling sound, like a really weird sound, but it sounded like a person like choking in a way coming from like the living room. So I immediately like run out there, right? I don't see my boyfriend. I don't see anyone. And I'm like, what is happening? So I go back into our room, right? And as I turn around to go back in the room, I hear laughing behind me. Turn around, guess what? Surprise, nobody's there. Walk back into our bedroom, he is passed out sleeping. My boyfriend is out like a light. And the weirdest part is, my dog, who normally picks up on things, was hiding underneath my dresser. There can never be peace. There can never be anything normal. And I look over at my boyfriend again. Both of our cats are like laying next to him, looking up at me with wide eyes. And normally in the morning too, when I get up, like one of the first things I have to do is feed the cats their wet food, because the second they see me stand up, they go feral and they know it's like time to eat. Super interesting how they didn't run into the kitchen, especially when the light turned on. So I will be going home and doing a deep cleanse because I have no idea what that was, but I just know it scared the absolute life out of me, and no. And I get ready in like 10 minutes. Obviously, I'm not like stunning right now when I work at like my AM job. And the whole time I got ready, I just felt like I was being watched. It was a very uncomfortable feeling, and I never feel that way in my home. Like, I'm so protected in my home and my space. So, I don't know, guys. That's it for today. Wish me luck.
This girl says a clown gave her this scar. It all started back in 2015 during the whole creepy clown craze. One night, she and her friend were outside their hotel filming a video on the street. Out of nowhere, a clown shows up in front of them. By the time they make it into the elevator, they're trying to call 911. Right then, the elevator doors slide open and this terrifying clown steps inside. The girls start screaming because there's nowhere left to run. The clown picks one of them up in his arms and bolts toward the parking lot. The other girl takes off after them, yelling and begging the clown to let her friend go. Suddenly, the clown stops, slowly turns around, and then sets the girl down. The friends take off immediately, only to come face to face with another terrifying clown. Somehow they manage to get away. They rush back to the hotel, go up to their floor, and sprint into their room. As soon as they're inside, they lock every door and window. After a while, they hear a knock at the door. One of the girls walks up and checks the peephole. It's their friend. But she probably shouldn't have opened that door.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
It was around 4:15 in the morning. I was lying in bed, lights off, just scrolling through Instagram, half asleep. That's when my bedroom door opened. It was my sister. She stepped inside and said, "Hannah, I need to tell you something. Come to my room." I brushed her off like, "Not tonight, tomorrow." But she didn't leave. She just stood there. Her face looked off. Her voice was flat, blunt, completely wrong. Again, she said, "Hannah, I need to tell you something. Come to my room." And again, and again, and again. Each time harsher, more demanding. She wasn't asking, she was insisting, like she was trying to drag me out of bed with her words alone. I was too tired, too stubborn, so I refused. Finally, she stormed out of my room. I went back to my phone, and then the realization hit me. My chest tightened. My heart started pounding. My sister was on a night shift. Oh no. I was the one who dropped her off at work. She couldn't have been standing in my doorway at 4:15 a.m. I froze. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move, because if that wasn't my sister, who came into my room? The next morning, after she came home and woke up from her nap, I asked her what time she got back. She said around 10:30, maybe 11, same as always. And I know she was telling the truth. That's her normal time. So who or what was in my room? And what would have happened if I'd actually followed it? I know I wasn't dreaming. This happened, and to me, felt like a mimic.
I was driving around to get my coffee, right? And I'm driving by the White Mountains, which is literally like right over there. And it's making me think of the time that me and my friend Jamie literally saw a flesh pedestrian in the middle of the woods behind her house. I've told this story on here before, but it's been a really long time. But I kind of wanted to tell it again because it's like fresh on my brain. Okay, so me and Jamie grew up in a really small town. Like everybody knows everybody. There's not much to do. Like there's no like, you know, children's community center or anything fun to do like that. So we would literally make our own fun. And what would we do for fun? We would go into the woods and fuck around. Her family owned a lot of land. They had like a little trailer, and they lived in a little trailer with a lot of fucking dogs. Looking back on it now, it was kind of a hoarder situation. But anyways, whatever. That's not the point of the story. They lived on like this property with a ton of land. Like I'm telling you, like trails out in multiple directions. Like we were having the time of our lives out in these woods. So there was like this stone wall though through each part that separated like the lands from the neighbors' lands or whatever. We knew that we were not supposed to cross over the what the fuck are they called? The separations. But what do you think we did on that lovely fine evening? We crossed over the barrier. So whatever, the second that we got over there though, that's when things started to like really feel different. Like I don't really know how to explain it. Maybe it was just like the fact that we were somewhere that we weren't supposed to be and we knew we weren't supposed to be there. But something about the energy of that portion of the woods just felt really off and kind of heavy. I remember walking by this ginormous oak tree, like one of those ones that you would see in maybe like a children's book or like a TV show or like a cartoon or something. You know, the one with like the big hole in the middle that like you always think squirrels are living in there or whatever. I don't know what it was about that tree itself, but it felt like it just didn't want us there. I ignored that feeling, whatever. We kept walking. And at some point we realized we don't know where the fuck we are. Oh shit. Then we started to realize like we don't know where the fuck we are. So then us being like the little woodsy kids, we are like not panicking. We're fine. We're like, okay, we just gotta find the river and follow the river home. River leads us back to civilization, right? We found the river and it took quite a while for us to find the river. So we were like quite tired when we got there. So we decided to like, you know, take a little rest on the rocks and like just kind of hang out by the river before we continued on our way. As we were sitting there kind of like talking back and forth, like what are we gonna do now? Like where should we go now? Should we keep going up or should we go back down? Like what should we do? Out through the woods? Should we look blah, 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 what are we gonna do? That's when we heard a loud snap of a twig that was like, it sounded that it was like kind of around the rock that we were sitting on, which was quite a large rock. I wouldn't even call it a rock. I would more call it a boulder. So the snap came from like around the corner on the other side of the boulder. We froze and Jamie whispered out loud. She said, "What was that?" And I remember thinking in my head, like, why are you speaking out loud so whatever that thing is can hear us and locate us? I just shook my head. I was like, I don't fucking know, bitch. What do you mean? Why are you asking me? And as we're sitting there, we can still hear like cracking and crunching. It's more of like a crunching, like I don't know how to explain it. It was like it was a grotesque sound. That's really how I can explain it. It was not a cute sound. Eventually curiosity got the better of us because we were like, okay, we cannot like keep going if we don't know what this thing is. Like, are we gonna get attacked if we keep walking, if we just keep moseying on up the river? So that's when we became two brave little girls. I would say maybe stupid little girls. I don't know. We gathered up any of the courage that we could muster up in our bodies and we peeked around the boulder at the same time together. Because neither of us wanted to do it alone, or we didn't even want to do it at all. We just felt it was necessary to know what we were up against, you know? So we peek around the corner of this fucking boulder and there is literally a severed deer's head and body. Like its body was all twisted up in a way that was absolutely 100,000 gazillion% not naturally done by anything. That's not something natural that can just happen. But hovering over it was this like thing. So I do have a picture of this thing, but it was kind of like it stood up and it moved in really jerky motions. It was like gray, pale humanoid, like the shape kind of a human, but you know that it's not. Forgot to mention though that by this point it was starting to get like late in the evening, so the sun was setting, so the visibility in the woods was going down dramatically, especially when you are in like a forest that is covered in thick trees, you know? We were in that portion of the wood. Yeah, okay, so this thing started moving when it noticed that we were there. Like, oh, fuck no. It moved so, it was like, it stood up so fast and in a way that was like, ah! I can't believe I didn't go into cardiac arrest, because I feel like I'm gonna go into cardiac arrest right now just thinking about the damn thing. I'm gonna see if I can find the picture, because this was back in the day when like we only had like, no, it wasn't even like the first generation iPod. It was like those colorful iPods, you know, those iPod touches, the one, I had a blue one. I snapped a picture of this thing with my blue fucking thing, like as we were running away, so it's like quite blurry. You can see it, and I've zoomed in. Oh my god, okay, I'm gonna see if I can find it. If I can find it, I'm gonna put it either here or like in the next slide or whatever. Yeah, anyways, after that, we saw that thing fucking moving towards us. We didn't even try to be quiet at that point anymore. We literally booked it as fast as we could in the direction that we thought was home. I swear to you, it felt like we were running for like hours. I've never ran so fast and so long and so hard in my entire life. My little legs felt like they were about to fucking fall off like Mr. Potato Heads when they get loose, you know? As we're running, we're thinking like, oh my god, we're gonna get fucking caught. Jamie's dog, Pippi, comes running as fast as she can, like down towards us, barking, yipping, whatever. She was this little like hound dog beagle thing. She was the cutest fucking thing ever. But if she comes barreling down the fucking hill, so we know that we're going the right direction now. We just like let her run right past us. Oh my god. I remember being like, Pippi, no! Because like there was a fucking thing. I didn't know if it was still following us or whatever. Oh my gosh, I'm laughing about it now because I am quite traumatized of the deep woods after many of my experiences. Do I still go? Absolutely. Still better than anything man-made. The first time I told this story, I told it with a little bit more seriousness because I don't really know why. I feel like today I'm just kind of feeling a little bit, I don't know. I absolutely believe in all of these like cryptid legends and stuff. I don't think that they're legends. I think that the natives cursed the land that we stole from them, and we also, I don't know. I think that these things were also here before we stole the land from them. So that's a whole other video in itself, but that's my flesh pedestrian story. And yes, I will be referring to them as flesh pedestrians and not the actual term. Thank you.
Have you seen that girl on TikTok who's claiming to be a real-life mermaid? She's blowing up right now and literally doing everything she can to prove it. Every single one of her videos is super weird, kind of creepy, but people are eating it up. Some clips already have over 6 million views. In one, she says she's out near Point Nemo, which is basically the most remote spot in the entire ocean, farther from humans than astronauts on the ISS are from land. She shows her scales in that video, and honestly, they looked pretty convincing. In another clip, she reveals this strange patch of skin that doesn't look human at all. But the scariest thing is her newest video, where she runs her hand across the scales, and they start peeling off like it's nothing, revealing thick, realistic-looking skin underneath. Of course, a ton of people are still calling it fake, saying it's just a costume or clever editing. And then there's the obvious question. How does a mermaid even have a phone to film all this? How does she make TikTok videos from the middle of the ocean? It's wild. Honestly, some of it looks so real it's creepy, and yet so many are obsessed and sharing every clip. I'm torn between thinking it's the best cosplay ever or actually being terrified that maybe it's real. Either way, she's dominating TikTok, and everyone's talking about it. What do you think? Real mermaid or just insane editing and makeup?
One of my followers just emailed me saying that her and her husband have experienced something absolutely crazy. When you're here, hi, I usually talk about pretty scary stuff, and I actually have an email where anyone who finds a page can send me their ghost stories. And the story I'm about to tell you is one of those submissions. So let's get into it. The story comes from someone who would like to remain anonymous, and for obvious reasons, I'm going to respect that. So the person who sent me this opens up the email by saying that she is a psychic medium. And the woman who sent me this says that she has seen, heard, and felt spirits there, which means not a ton freaks her out. He has also seen and felt things that are just unexplainable and pretty freaky. But this experience that she's telling me about is absolutely nuts and did in fact freak them both out. The last bit of context that you need before I start this actual story is they also have a rescue dog who has a lot of issues, including separation anxiety, which means if they're not both in bed, he will just sleep in the hallway and will not come into the bedroom unless both of them are in bed. They also do not like shutting the door on him because they find that he just scratches and cries at the door to be let in. So basically all you need to know is that if husband is not in bed, the door is open. If wife is not in bed, the door is open because of this dog. And one night, the woman who sent me this went to bed. Her husband was out playing video games, so she left the door open for the dog. He laid down in the hallway, she went to bed, etc. Obviously woke up in the middle of the night and her husband was right next to her. Door was shut, dog was in the room. He was snoring pretty badly and she just decided like, you know what, I can't sleep in this room, like it's way too loud. Gets up, checks her watch to see that it's a little after midnight. As she's opening the door, the dog obviously wakes up and goes and sits in the hallway. She walks to the guest room, keeps the door open, and falls asleep. The next morning, her husband comes out to the kitchen and says, you know, I think the dog is breaking his habit. And she obviously looks at him and is like, what are you talking about? And he proceeds to tell her that when he got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, her dog was already out in the hallway sleeping. So when he was coming back from the bathroom, he just shut the bedroom door behind him. And that's when she said, like, no, he was out in the hallway because I was sleeping in the guest room. And that's when her husband's face dropped completely. He was very persistent. He was like, no, I almost woke you up last night because I wanted to tell you that I think Toby, the dog, broke his habit of needing to sleep next to us. She, again, is persisting her side, and she is like, that was not me. Toby was in the hallway because he knew I was sleeping in the other room. And that's when he says, but I saw your curly blonde hair in the bed, and that's how I knew it was you. Then after additional conversation, he realized that it was in fact not his wife. And there was just some stranger spirit in their bed. And the husband specifically was like, thank God I didn't try to wake you up because that would have been like an entire other can of worms. The person who sent me this email did go to another psychic medium and was like, we have no idea what that was. Can you confirm that it was a spirit? And obviously like not some human being that had broken into their home. And the psychic medium did in fact tell them that it was not a human being. It was a stranger spirit and it was not malicious in any way. It was just kind of hanging out. But she says that it gives her the heebie-jeebies to this day. And I just want to say that this is like one of my biggest fears is I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and someone else is going to be in my bed. Because there's a YouTube short that has exactly that happen. And it has scared me since I saw it when I was a little girl. But anyways, if you think you have a good ghost story, be sure to submit it to the link in my bio. But that's going to do it for me. Stay tuned for more ghost stories.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen. Did the window break?
So this story tonight that I'm about to tell you, I cannot believe that the story actually happened. It actually blows my mind. You have to hear the end. Okay, so the storyteller's name is Jack, and the story is about Jack's grandfather. And Jack's grandfather worked for the railroad. Being that he wasn't married yet and he didn't have any kids, he had a nice car and he liked to go out on the weekends. So one Friday night, he is going to a dance, but he's late for the dance, so he has to take a different route than he usually does. So he takes a shortcut and it's on this curvy road. So he's just driving through this curvy road. He had to go up a hill and it was pretty sunny outside and the sun was kind of blinding him for a second. And he realizes directly after this that there's a person in the road. So he had to swerve to miss this person. So he goes off the road, down a ravine, and just slams into a tree. And he must have passed out for a little bit because the next thing he knows, he wakes up to this young man going, Mister, you all right? And Jack's grandfather is like, yeah, I'm all right, but my head is splitting and my knee is on fire. He's like, I'm okay, I'm all right. So the kid helps Jack's grandfather get out of the car. He grabs his duffel bag and they walk up the bank. So they then get to this road and they just sit down on the road. And Jack's grandfather can see that there's a house nearby. And so Jack's grandfather said to the young man, is that your house? And he says, yes. So it was at this moment that Jack's grandfather realized that the kid had a hair lip and he spoke with a lisp. He was pale, redheaded, he looked friendly enough. So Jack's grandfather is then like, do you have a phone at your house? And the kid's like, no. And he's like, well, when will your parents be home? And the kid just responds and says, I have no idea when they're going to be home. So he then asks where the nearest neighbor was. And he tells him that the nearest neighbor is way down the road, about 6 miles down the road where he had previously passed a white fence. But the young man is like, you can come to my house. And so Jack's grandfather is like, all right. So the little boy or the young man helps him down the driveway because he's limping at this point. So they get to the house and he notices that this house is run down and it is freezing in there, even though it is a mid-June day. His grandpa also notices that there's no central heating, there's no wood stove, there's just a fireplace. So he then asks the young man, why is it so cold in here? And the boy just flat out responds, I'm always cold. So Jack's grandfather is like, listen, if you go get wood, I'll start a fire. And so the kid's like, okay. So he goes down and he grabs some wood. He brings the wood back, and the wood is actually very dry wood. So it starts a pretty large fire. So after the fire started, Jack's grandfather notices something. He notices that the young man is standing very close to the fire, close enough to burn him actually. So he says to the young man, listen, you need to be careful, son. You're going to get burned. And the young man just replies again, I'm always cold. So at this point, he's just like, okay, are you hungry? Because I have sandwiches in my bag. And the young man just says, no, I already ate supper. So he pulls out the sandwiches and he starts eating the sandwiches. As he's eating the sandwiches, he notices that the boy again is standing extremely close to the fire. And this is making him very uncomfortable, but he doesn't say anything. He decides to let it go. So at this point, Jack's grandfather is just looking around the house and he notices something. He notices that it doesn't look like anyone has been in that house for a very long time. As he's noticing all of this, the young man says to him, listen, are you tired? Because you can sleep in my room. He even offers to stay up and keep the fire going while he is sleeping. And Jack's grandfather is like, well, I don't want to put you out of your bed. You sure there's no neighbors that could maybe pass by that could help me get my car out of the ravine? Then the boy responds with a very strange answer. He says, no one ever comes up this way. And his grandfather asks, why? And the young man says, because they're afraid of ghosts. Now, this shook him a little bit, but he just responds and says, what ghosts? And then the young man just says, I don't know. People say that there's ghosts up here, but I've never seen them. The only thing I'm scared of is nightmares. And Jack's grandfather says, you have nightmares? The young man says, yup, every night. And every single night, it's the same dream. He says that a giant hog chases him around, tries to eat him, and then as soon as he gets to him, he just wakes up. And then the grandfather says, well, have you ever gotten chased by a pig in real life? And he says, yes. One time I picked up a sow's baby and I shook it by the leg, and the sow saw it, and then the sow ran after me. It caught up to me, pushed me to the ground, and started biting me. And he says, I got bit up by the sow pretty badly. So the grandfather is then like, well, that's probably why you're having nightmares, buddy. The boy just kind of nodded. And after this, his grandfather was like, you know what? I'm getting pretty tired. He thanks the boy for letting him sleep in his bed, and he retires to bed. His bed was actually in the room, like right next to the fireplace. And the young man kept the fire going the entire night and just watched over his grandfather. After his grandfather falls asleep, he starts to have a very interesting dream. He has the same exact dream that they had just talked about. Everything was identical to what the young man said, and when the pig caught up to him, he woke up. Now his grandfather wakes up and he's looking around the room and he sees that there's only coals left in the fireplace, but in the corner of the room sitting down is that young man, and the young man is still watching over him. So his grandfather's like, you know what, I have to go outside to use the bathroom, because apparently this was a while ago, so he had to go outside and use the bathroom. But as he's going to the bathroom, he suddenly sees a tractor in the distance, so he just starts waving his arms. Finally, the farmer sees him that's on the tractor, and he sits and waits for him. He's a good distance away. So the farmer finally gets to him, and the first thing that he asks the farmer is, hey, listen, man, can you help me get my car out of the ravine? And the guy then asks him, like, listen, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. So they go over to where the car is. The farmer then sees his car and kind of asks in astonishment, like, when did you crash your car? His grandfather says, last night before the sun set. And he goes, well, where did you stay the night then? So his grandfather then tells him about the boy and the road, and then talks about how he stayed the night in that house. And the farmer's face just goes pale white. And he says, you stayed the night there? And his grandfather just goes, yeah, why? And he goes, well, I just heard that place is haunted and I never believed it. Jack's grandfather was just like, yeah, well, the boy that helped me said that everybody thinks that there's ghosts in that house. The farmer then looks at him and goes, well, I guess there is. And he says, son, that boy you were talking to, that boy passed because of a sow over a year ago. He says that then the family that lived there moved down south because they just couldn't be in that house anymore. And then he just says it's been pretty empty ever since. So what did you guys think of that story? That's pretty wild, right? When I read that story, I was like, there is no freaking way. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that happening? First of all, I that story just ended so abruptly. First of all, I want to know what happened to that boy after that. Like, did they see the boy again? Did they go in the house and try to see if he was still there? Like, what happened after that? Did the guy just go in his car and leave and forget about the boy? There's no ending. There's no real ending. But whatever the case may be, that young man, I hope he passed over, because what a sweet boy. He's standing there watching over the fire and watching over his grandfather the whole entire night, helped him when he was hurt. He was like an angel to him. I wonder if he had already passed on and he was just there to help him. Maybe he just came down from heaven to help him. But tell me what your guys' thoughts, opinions, and suggestions are for this story. By the way, I read this somewhere. I will put it in the description. So I just thought it was really interesting. It is supposed to be a true story, so that blows my mind still. But with that being said, I'm now going to do my favorite part, which is the shout outs. Kelly.effin.bundy. I can't say the real word. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for the comment that you left. I appreciate you so, so much. And I love so much that I'm your favorite storyteller. That means so much to me. And I appreciate that with my whole heart. And just the love that you showed underneath that video where I was upset truly does make me feel so much better. That comment section, you guys, oh my God. The love that you guys showed. And you were one of those people who truly made me feel better. So I hope that you know that. Genuinely appreciate you so, so much. Thank you for watching my content. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being a spooky baby. And girl, I love you. Charlene Levi, you said that you look up my account every single day and you have no idea what that means to me. Thank you so much for doing that, because especially in this time right now, to search me out every single day means you really like my stories. And I do that with other content creators. And just to be that for somebody else is so humbling to me and so special to me. So thank you so much for giving me that gift. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you so much for your kind words and trying to lift me up during a time where I was upset. It truly meant everything to me. And I hope you know that. And I love you, girl. Oh, and thank you for being a spooky baby. And my name is Kaisa, and I tell your paranormal experiences on here that you submit to me and other paranormal experiences. So if you're into that, hit that follow button. And I just need you to do 3 things for me. One of those, keep sending me your scary stories. Have a safe night. And what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you so much, my spooky babies. I'll see you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.
You won't believe what a teacher in Japan discovered after hearing a strange sound in the school loo. It's the kind of story that makes you double check every bathroom you enter. One evening in 1989, Miss Yumi Tanaka popped into the toilet before heading home. But the moment she stepped into the stall, something felt wrong. Inside the bowl, she noticed a single dark shoe pointing upwards, as if someone had dropped it, or worse, left it on purpose. Confused, she leaned closer and lifted the lid of the maintenance tank beneath. What she saw made her stumble back in shock. There, in the narrow space below, were a pair of human legs, completely still. Her scream brought colleagues running. Soon after, police and emergency crews arrived and began the difficult process of extracting the man trapped inside the pipe system. It turned out to be a 26-year-old local resident who had crawled in on his own, apparently trying to spy on women using the bathroom. He had been stuck there for days, unable to get out, and the cold inside the pipes eventually claimed his life. The discovery continues to be remembered as one of the most unsettling cases in the region.
So I came across this spooky story and I literally cannot explain what happened to this person. Maybe y'all can help. And he couldn't explain this either. He says that this happened in 1993. He was about 11 years old. He grew up in central Victoria, Australia, and every summer they would go up to North Wales to go visit his aunt. Again, they would go every summer, and it was about a 10-hour drive, so every time they would stop in the middle somewhere so that way dad could rest. Well, in 1993, this one specific time, mom came across this advertisement about this brand new resort-style hotel. Huge, beautiful, and she wanted to stay there, so she called, booked a reservation, and that was that. So on their way back home from their aunt's house, that is when they were going to stay at this resort. They brought out the map, they found the road, and it was about an hour and 15-minute drive of pure nothing. It was literally just desert. Kind of similar to this, but again, imagine driving an hour and 15 minutes of just this. So it was a long stretch road. Finally, they found the entrance, drove in for about 15 minutes, found a gate, they opened, then they closed it, and they drove a little bit further down, and they finally found this resort. So finally, they pull up to this resort hotel. Mom and dad get off to check in, and a few minutes later, they come back to the car, and they are confused because they said that there's nobody there. James and his brother are confused. They're like, what do you mean there's nobody there? They get off, they go look around, and there's literally not a single person inside that hotel. They go check behind the reception area, nobody there. Adjacent to this hotel was a cafe restaurant type of deal, and there was tables there with food on the table, with drinks in these cups. They go to the kitchen area. That whole restaurant is empty as well. They go back to the resort. They start walking around, and it's kind of divided between left wing and right wing where all the rooms are. They go up and down both sides. The doors are open. Some of the rooms are clean. Some of the rooms have the carts where the maid service is going to turn on the rooms. There is fresh linen. There is fresh towels, but not one person is on that property. Mind you, there were vehicles that were parked in the parking lot. So dad is concerned now. He's like, all right, we gotta go. I don't feel safe. I have my family here. We gotta go. On their way out, they see that there is a motorcycle out there with the keys in the ignition as well. So dad is like, you know what? Let me call 911, the local police department. He does. And they say they're on their way. Could wait there if they'd like, or they can bounce. And dad's like, we're bouncing. I have my kids here. I need to get out of here. This is too weird for me. What's crazy is that same day they go to this local cafe that's nearby there. They watch the news to see if maybe someone is going to talk about it, something. Nothing was ever said. Now that James is older, he has Googled, he has researched this specific resort, and he is not able to find a trace of any type of anything that he's witnessed. He even tried to Google like the satellite view around that area. He found the cafe where they ate, but he was not able to find that road that led to this specific hotel, and he was not able to find the hotel at all. He doesn't know what happened. I don't know what happened. This is weird. What do you guys think? I listened to this story on the Radio Rental podcast. If you guys want to listen to spooky stories, I definitely recommend that one. It is really good. And if you guys have any spooky stories of your own, please send them via DM or email because I'd love to read them. And I will see you guys in the next spooky story. Bye.